So last time we finished off with verse 10. We'll move on to verse 11 without wasting time. And it says here, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her. Who are the merchants? Once again, the merchants are tradesmen, businessmen, those involved in commerce. So, for instance, and he's not talking about everyone involved in business, okay? He's talking about the multi-billionaires, the multi-millionaires, okay? The companies, excuse me, such as BlackRock and State Street, which I'll show you just now in a few minutes, which actually have more money than entire nations sometimes. Shall mourn. So these merchants, these businessmen and businesswomen, they shall mourn over her. Who is the her? It's talking about Babylon. Remember, Revelation chapter 18 is talking about Babylon the Great and how she is in cahoots with the kings of the earth and the merchants of the earth. Okay, it says, why are they mourning over Babylon? For no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood. Okay, what is thine? I think it's thine wood. Okay, what is that? It's made of citron wood. Okay, the citrus. It's a type of wood anyway. It's prized by the ancient Greeks and Romans on account of the beauty of its wood for various ornamental purposes. Very expensive wood. Okay, and all manner of vessels of ivory. Where do we get ivory from? From elephants. You see that? And all manner vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble. Okay, do you think maybe perhaps this also includes things like cars and yachts and very expensive houses? Yes, it does. Okay, all these things are made from these things that I mentioned here. And what else were they involved? What other merchandise were they involved in trading? It says verse 13, and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour. Perhaps here oil, we know that olive oil is very expensive, but this could be referring to crude oil, okay, from where we get kerosene, petrol, diesel, and paraffin. And fine flour and wheat and beasts. Beasts here could be cows, horses, sheep, goats, of course, even maybe pigs, because there's some who eat pigs. And it says here, yeah, it actually mentions some of the animals here, and sheep and horses and chariots. Chariots here, remember I mentioned cars. This could be referring to cars. At the time this was written, they used to use chariots for transportation or horses for transportation, but nowadays this could be referring to cars, okay, motorcycles, and slaves and souls of men. You see here, these merchants of the earth are actually involved in the slave trade. Perhaps transatlantic slave trade, but also what's referred to as modern day slavery. I wanted to show you a slide. Let me see if I can find it. It's not on this one. It's on this PowerPoint. It's opening up. Let's go here. Verse 14, and the fruits that thy soul lusts after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty. What does word dainty mean? It's referring to Babylon the Great, that those things that she was lusting after have departed from her. Dainty means sumptuous, things which pertain to a sumptuous and delicate style of living. Expensive, let's just say expensive way of living, okay? And all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. Now let's go here to our PowerPoint. think most of you know Catherine Austin Fitz. She said, with regards to slavery, which is mentioned here, slavery, that merchants of the earth are involved in selling slaves and the souls of men. It says slavery is the most profitable business in the history of the world. It is more profitable than mining, more profitable than narcotics. These are drugs, okay? It is more profitable than all the addictions, which he refers to them as globalists now have. Says now, this is she said recently in the past few years, now have the capability of implementing slavery, and their attitude is let's do it. But the slavery she's talking about is the digital IDs and CBDCs and things like that. And this is Catherine Austin Fitz who said that. So yeah, not only does Revelation talk about slavery, also Catherine Austin Fitz says it's the biggest business. Okay. Verse 15, the merchants of these things which were made rich by her, the businessmen and the businesswomen who were made rich by Babylon, the papacy, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing. Why? Because Babylon is being destroyed right in front of their eyes. Verse 16 is saying, alas, alas. What does the word alas mean? A primary exclamation of grief. It's the same as woe. It's the same as the word woe, okay? That great city that was clothed in fine linen. Which great city is this? It's talking about Babylon, the Vatican, okay? That was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold, okay? Remember I showed you in my video on Revelation 17 that purple and scarlet are the official colors of the that are worn by the priests and the cardinals in the Catholic Church, and decked with gold, showing that she's the richest institution in the world, and precious stones and pearls. Verse 17, for in 1 hour, 1 hour here, I don't think, remember that in prophecy, 1 hour is 14 days, okay, or 2 weeks. But in this case, I don't think it's talking about 2 weeks, it's talking about in a short space of time. For in other words, in a short space of time, so great riches has come to naught. The word naught means nothing, okay? All these great riches have come to nothing. See here, the word not means to come to. It says come to naught, but it's come to nothing, okay? To make desolate, to lay waste, to ruin, bring to desolation. And every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and as many as trade by sea stood afar off and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? It's talking about the Vatican. It's not talking about Rio de Janeiro, as some would like to claim. And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness. For in 1 hour is she made desolate. 1 hour, once again, in a short space of time. Remember, I showed you that some of these merchants are people like Bill Gates and Alex Karp and who else? Elon Musk, of course. But there's a claim that Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. I actually don't believe that. I'll show you who actually controls the finances of the world, or is partly involved in controlling the finances of the world. All these, even Microsoft itself, which was started by Bill Gates and his friend who he betrayed, is actually owned by BlackRock. Where is it? Here. BlackRock hits a record $10 trillion assets under management. So BlackRock is the biggest financial institution. Okay, they control about $10 trillion of assets. Then we have State Street and Vanguard. These are the 10 biggest financial institutions in the world, but they are working for the Vatican. Okay, remember we are reading in here in Revelation 18 that it's Babylon that is allowing these men and women in these companies to make money. Okay, and then we have here. Let's go here. Where J.P. Morgan, who is the one that owned the Titanic, or ship called the Titanic, but it was actually the Britannic that actually swapped names with the Titanic, which was sunk in 1912 to pave the way for the setting up of the Federal Reserve in America. He said, "Gold is money; everything else is credit." So everything else is fake, but the real money is gold. Okay, that's what he was saying. So where were we? Yeah, alas, that great city, wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea, by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. I think I should read the last part here. Verse 20, rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. God is going to take vengeance on the papacy and the Vatican. It's pretty much the same thing, okay? The Vatican is just the headquarters of the papacy or the Catholic Church. God is going to take revenge on her on behalf of his saints. Why? Because they persecuted the apostles and the prophets. Verse 21, and the mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Okay, I don't believe this is necessarily literal. Perhaps this is just prophetic. This casting of a stone into the sea. Okay, this is just talking about how God's vengeance on the papacy. Verse 22, and the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman of whatsoever craft he be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee. What is a millstone? What does a millstone do? It grinds grain. Okay, so the sound of music and of revelry and of celebration shall not be heard in the papacy after she is destroyed. Verse 23, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants, these merchants here that we read about, were the great men of the earth. Bill Gates, there's another very rich man, I'm forgetting what's his name. Warren Buffett. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. Warren Buffett. So I mentioned Elon Musk earlier. We have Jeff Bezos. These are the men that are put before us. But actually, we have, Fritz Springmeier wrote a book called the Bloodlines of the Illuminati, and he says that there are 13 rich families that actually are also involved in running the world. And some of them are. There are some who also mention that the richest families in the world they are Italian. They're from the same families that used to rule when pagan Rome had sway over the earth. Okay, that those families are the ones that are the richest family in the world, and I think that's also true as well. So sometimes the men who are presented before us, and they'll say, for instance, that Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He's not. Elon Musk actually made his money, some of his money anyway, from funds that were given to him by the American government when he started building Tesla cars. Okay, but before that, obviously, he made money from PayPal. But these men are presented before us to distract us and take attention away from the other rich families that are really controlling things in the world. But all these families are under the influence or control of the papacy. So I think we're down here. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Thy sorceries, the word sorceries here, we tend to kind of, when we hear sorcery, we think of witchcraft, but that's not what this is talking about. It's talking about the word that was, remember, the New Testament was written in Greek. Okay, so in Greek, the word that should be here is actually pharmakia. Okay, see here it says poisoning. So sorry, it says magical arts. It's not. It's supposed to be. It's pharmacy. You see here, medication. It's pharmakia is the word that should be here. This is one of the reasons why I didn't take part in this pandemic, because I knew that the pharmaceutical industry is involved in deception, like exactly like how he says here. So even Albert Bola and the other CEOs of the pharmaceutical companies, they are working for the papacy. In fact, some years ago, I read, it was an article, and I tried to look for this article. I can't find it. It must be on my hard drive somewhere, but I can't find it. I've looked for it on at least two occasions. I read that it was a Roman Catholic priest that started the pharmaceutical industry, but I can't find that document right now. So yeah, when it says sorceries, it's talking about the pharmaceutical industry. They are involved in deception, so don't take part in anything that they are involved in. Okay. Verse 24, and in her hand was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. So Babylon the Great, also known as the papacy, kills God's prophets and God's saints. And it also goes on to say that all that was slain upon the earth. How? Because she's the one who's behind all the wars. Okay. In a book called 50 Years in the Church of Rome, written by a man called Charles Chinukwi. Of course, he died a long time ago, but he became friends with Abraham Lincoln, and he said that it was the Jesuits and the Catholic Church that ultimately were responsible for the assassination of Abe Lincoln. In that book, which is quite a big book, but he says he's basically telling a story about how after 50 years in the Catholic Church, of which I think about 22 years, he was a priest for 22 years. The rest of the time, he was just growing up in the Catholic Church. He says that when he was talking to priests, one of the priests actually said to him, if the whole world was to go to war with the Catholic Church, he said, to hell with the whole world. So in terms of this end part of this verse here, of verse 24, where he talks about how Babylon is responsible for all that are being slain on the earth, is because the Catholic Church is the one that starts all these wars around the world. And of course, the Pope will come out and say that he condemns, for instance, the war between Ukraine and Russia. He condemns the wars that are going on in the Middle East, but it's actually them that are starting these wars. It's all double speak. Okay, it's all a deception. Remember in the Jesuit oath, it says that sometimes there can be Jesuits on both sides of a war, fomenting war, and when a war ends in the treaties that are signed, the treaties will be favorable to the Catholic Church. Okay, but they're the ones who are behind all these wars that are going on around the world, including wars that have been fought in the past. So just in summary, Revelation chapter 18 is talking about the relationship that the Babylon, the papacy, has with the kings of the earth. Remember, in the last video we read about the kings here. Where is it? Yeah, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her. Here it mentions the kings of the earth several times in the first half of Revelation chapter 18. In fact, it mentions them about 2 or 3 times. I just can't find it here, but here definitely. And in other places, the kings of the earth. And even in Revelation chapter 17 as well, if we just go there now, Revelation chapter 17, verse 2, talks about this relationship that the papacy has with the kings of the earth, and refers to it as fornication. Verse 2, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, talking about Babylon. So I was just saying, summary is Revelation 18 is talking about what the papacy is doing with the royal families of the earth, and also with the businessmen who control what's happening financially on this earth. not only are they making money from those from the merchandise that was mentioned in Revelation chapter 18, but they are also keeping most of the world poor. Okay, because they are greedy and they want the resources for themselves. That's why they always took so much emphasis on climate change and how we should stop using the world's resources, because they want the resources for themselves. Okay, but part of the focus of the message in Revelation 18 is talking about this destruction of that great city, Babylon, or the papacy. Okay, this is what this chapter is talking about. Once again, thanks for watching the video, and I hope you maybe learned something new that you didn't know before. You can put your comments in the comment section. I'll see you in the next video.